Today's episode is sponsored by Permanent Hearing Damage, which is a recording studio based in Philadelphia, owned and operated by Steve Roche from Seisha, Offminer, Boer War, which you're hearing now, and many others. They've spent the last 25 years specializing in recording, mixing, mastering for punk, hardcore, metal, and related genres at artist-friendly prices. Some recent clients include Piers, Foxtails, Masanera, Closer, Rambo, Stinking Lizaveta, Sanagi, and Witching. Contact Permanent Hearing Damage via their website, permanenthearingdamage.com. Hello, and welcome to Everything Remade, a podcast that I hope is about growth as much as it is about music. I'm Edie Quinn, and we have a great show lined up for you today. Before we get started, though, I'd like to remind you about our Patreon page at patreon.com/humanmachine, where you can go to sign up to support the show, read zines, get music sneak peeks, and so much more. That's patreon.com/humanmachine. Today, we're bringing you a track premiere of the song Rest by Confluence, featuring my new pal, Austin Carter, on guitar. The song comes from their upcoming EP called The Understory, which you will be able to find online soon. So enjoy this exclusive first listen at the song, and then meet me back here for our conversation.
middle school, they, at the end of every year, they do, not a pep rally, but, a whole event where, um, the middle school band plays and, there's the sports teams and all of that. And every year, sixth grade and seventh grade and stuff, I saw, that, whatever middle school band would go up and, play their two songs or whatever. And when I was in seventh grade, I saw whatever, shitty metal band that was coming out of my middle school at that time. And I was like, that's what I'm going to do next year. I'm going to like play in the band that plays at the end of the year assembly sort of thing. And my older brother played music and stuff. He was already doing the band thing. And so it was like, okay, that's my goal. Next year, I'm going to like play in the band and play the songs. And I remember coming home and I think telling my mom about it. And she was like, oh, that's awesome. But like, you don't know how to play any instruments. So like, let's start there, I guess. So for me, that's what like initially kicked it off. And then I think in terms of that, like no turning back point, by the time, maybe fast forward like a year and a half or two, I, had my first kind of real band. And we were able to play with like some bigger names, which was cool, especially for just like being teenagers. But I think that there was some show, and even though it was like some of our friends or like friends of friends or something, but they started like singing along to the songs, where that was just like whoa, this is no longer for me. This is like for us.
Yeah, that didn't happen
And
for me until I was like in my 30s. So, good job there. You got a head start. Um, but I want to go
yeah,
back to like that band that you were talking about, the middle school band. Do you remember, did you know any of those people?
uh, not personally, no. I mean, at
Okay.
that point, it wasn't like a scene or anything.
Yeah.
At least nothing that I was involved with. I don't think I had even gone to a show yet.
Yeah.
That was just like off limits.
Yeah, but it was just like it was the fact that this is your peers and you're like, whoa, these people are doing this.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And
It's
you
like
said
what
shitty.
can I do?
Like, were you thinking it was shitty at the time, or were you like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen?
I mean, musically, it wasn't for me.
Oh,
Um,
okay. I
I
just
I
didn't know if you
say,
were like, you were like, this is cool that they're doing this, but I could also do this and I could maybe do it better, because sometimes you are like, I mean, when I was in high school and I was just starting in bands, there was a band that we played with all the time and they were our friends, and I'll talk bad about it now. I wouldn't really then, but like we were like aware that they were bad. We were
yeah,
like, they're not good. Even though like,
right.
just because we weren't good at our instruments yet, but like our band was tighter. Like, and there
Hmm.
are recordings that prove that. Like, no one's ever gonna hear them, but like it's like I didn't. Yeah, I just wanted to clarify. Like, was that like also a thing where you're like, part of you recognize like these people can do this, and like if I try really hard, maybe I could also do that, but like in a, you know, in a better way. Or I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or I think it was maybe just more so like on different terms, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like I want to do that, but in my take on it.
Yeah.
Um,
I
so
and it's like I'm not trying to disparage anybody who's doing things at that age. Like it's awesome, but in my case, in my experience, and the reason why I might sound that way is, you know, like not everybody that gets up there and is in the middle school battle of the bands or whatever circumstance it might be is going to end up still playing music. 10, 20 years later or whatever. And that's like
Right.
obviously perfectly fine. But it's just like, to me, it speaks to the reason why people get up there and do it sometimes, and in the case of some people that I knew in high school, the reason was we're going to get girls, or we're going to be like rock stars or be cool or be famous and like
Yeah.
that motivation speaks to the drive and the desire and the outcome, in my opinion, like,
Uh-huh.
so, cause like, I don't know, it's like a shitty punk band, like, can get up there and you can get up there and you can be shitty and you can not really have it all together, but you can leave a different impression than like, we want to be rock stars and we're coming up here trying to play this kind of thing. And you're like, well, that just wasn't, like, I don't know.
Yeah. To
Yeah.
to me, I feel like the longevity aspect of it isn't so much the the highs. It's more of sort of the lows, and like if you can withstand the lows and still decide that this feels worth it, or like I can't not do this.
Yeah.
It's awesome to have people singing along, or like making money at the shows or whatever it is, whatever like validation that you seek from your peers. But if it's like you know you drive 6 hours to play in front of nobody, and it's like, well, maybe tomorrow, and it's like not that big of a deal, that to me is like why we keep doing it, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
think so many people, especially as we've gotten older and just like taper out, it's like the withstanding element of, well, I wasn't a rock star, I didn't get all the girls, I didn't make all the money, I'm not going to do this anymore. And
Yeah.
it's for me, it's like I've of course played all of the terrible shows and didn't make any money, and no one showed up, and that didn't waver my like dedication, I guess, to wanting to keep playing music with my friends. So
Yeah. Now you said terrible shows, and like there's sort of a general like, oh, these are, but is there like a thing that sticks out for you as far as like bad shows? Like, is there a particular like unique story?
gosh, there's just so many in the catalog.
Give me the worst then.
um
Let's hear it.
right. Just really really bad shows. When I was in college, I played in a sort of like pop punk band with some friends, and I don't know like how familiar you are with the Olympia kind of like lore and music scene and stuff, but there's
K
a
Records.
Landlord.
I don't
Well,
know,
yeah, yeah,
much beyond that, but yeah, that's pretty big. That's a big deal. Yeah.
yeah. Uh, um, when I was in college, I played in this band, and just college sort of party band. We didn't really do any touring or anything like that. I think we had maybe 2 EPs, maybe just one. But there was a landlord in Olympia, and he would buy all these houses and paint them all black. So there was a bunch of black houses in Olympia. And like pros and cons, he's a slumlord buying these dilapidated houses. But the, punk college kids would live in them because the rent was cheap and they could kind of do whatever they wanted. So we played at this house called the Swamp House, and it may or may not still be around or having shows or whatever, but we played the Swamp House, and just the whole night was bad. Of course, no one brought gear. The whatever touring band broke the local band's stuff. There was just like a bunch of the kind of crusty Oogle kids. Dogs were fighting. I think like someone punched a girl there. There was like a pregnant woman drinking, and everyone was like, I don't think that you should be doing that. There was and I was like loading my stuff in, and there was a girl that like spit beer in my face, and just like the whole night was bad. Everything was bad. It wasn't about the music. And that felt, again, I was probably only like 20 at the time, 21 maybe. That felt like this doesn't feel fun anymore.
Yeah.
And if this is what we're doing, or like why we're doing this doesn't feel good. This doesn't feel like the right means to keep playing music.
Yeah. That was definitely, you got bingo a couple times at that show, like if you were,
Yeah.
doing your card for sure. Um
Yeah.
yeah, it's, sometimes it's like, sometimes sometimes when I say like, oh, like we're a show or something, there's like one particular really wild circumstance where you're like, it ends up a funny story later, but that's just a bunch of really shitty incidents like on top of each other, and it's not
Right.
fun. Um, yeah, but I mean, it's like you said, the next show happens and it's like more normal, and you're just there and you're having a good time and you play your songs and you're like, it's it's like when it's like once you get over a cold and you kind of forget what the cold was like. You're like,
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
no,
That's
this is
great.
great. Yeah. But yeah, what what were kind of like your very first shows, like when you were like just starting to play, you had just gotten a guitar and you're doing your first band. What were your like very first times playing for people like?
Totally. I guess first like real band, again, I played that sort of high school or middle school auditorium thing, and then
Do you did
from
play the
that
next year?
we did play. Yeah, we
Oh,
played
okay.
a Anti-Flag cover, a Weezer cover, and I think maybe a Modest Mouse song or something.
Okay.
And it was, at that point it was me and four other people that play music kind of thing. So
Okay.
it was like the singer from the church that he likes to sing, and the one like jazz guitar player that he's been playing since he was 3 years old, and that me, who I've been playing for about 6 months. And so it was just this hodgepodge of people that owned instruments essentially. uh, from that came my first band. It was called CB Militia, Cricket Bat Militia.
Okay.
And me and my friend Jack continued on. He played in the auditorium band. So we started that band with our friend Leah, and our, I think, very first show, again, this is like, summer of 8th grade sort of thing. We played at our friend Peggy's birthday party, just like in the backyard. Her dad was barbecuing, that kind of thing. So it sort of took a while to establish, like, we're a punk band, and how do we get to play at the punk venue and stuff. So it took a little bit. We were definitely doing the birthday circuit thing probably for like the first 6 months, I guess. But
Yeah. It's so like it that's such a rite of passage, but like at the same time, like it's not, it's like not that much different than like a house show that we might play now, in
yeah,
theory, except in the birthday party instance, it's like that is precedence over the fact that bands are playing. It's like that's
right,
first, and then the bands is second. But like
right,
just it being like a a gathering in a house, like a casual. These people are all somewhat acquainted, and we're all here to listen to music. It's not that, like, it feels a lot different, but it's not. And I think it's just like, it's such a, I don't know. I wish, like, you still do see sometimes like, oh, this is somebody's birthday and they're doing a show. You still see that, but I wish it was like, I wish I was playing birthday shows more often. Is what I'm trying to say. But yeah,
Yeah.
because that was
Well,
my
I think
first too.
if anything, yeah, it's like almost full circle where it's like you're starting at the birthday party circuit, and now as we've sort of gotten older, yeah, maybe it is a little more like, cool, we're gonna have a barbecue and do the cake thing, and then this band is gonna play for 15 minutes, and then we're gonna keep hanging out together. So
Yeah, because then you're gonna get something to eat too. So
yeah, yeah,
even if it's just cake and punch or whatever,
yeah,
you're gonna get something to eat too. Just be like 5 hours standing around like and trying
waiting for
to,
the show to happen or
yeah,
whatever.
or trying to be like, is there a way I can go get a sandwich in 15 minutes before the next band starts?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's, I don't know. I I'm not like a big nostalgia person. Like, as far as like, I do have nostalgia for the things that I've been able to experience in life and stuff. I mean, it's like just human, but I'm not like a things were always better. Like, I'm very much like the thing I'm doing right now is like the best. I want that to be the best because
Oh yeah,
tomorrow's not
absolutely.
guaranteed, right? So like, um, it's it's like it feels like I'm being like, oh, it was better when we were but like, it's like you said, it's very full circle, and it's just like, I don't know, there's a reason why we keep doing this. There's a reason, we keep getting pulled back in. It's I thought I was out, but
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, that's awesome that you were. I wasn't sure because you were you were talking about like, you were saying to your mom that you wanted to get started, and then you skipped ahead a bit, so I was like, I wasn't sure if you made it back to that next,
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, but that's awesome. Like, once you started like playing in bands, and you were doing that for a while, like, was the goal always like, because you're talking about the middle school thing, you did cover songs, but was the goal always to write your own songs, or like, were you just stoked to be playing? Like, and what were you particularly influenced by when you were like, it's fun learning other people's songs, but I'm going to write my own songs. Like, let's go. Like,
Hmm.
what were you into at that time that was motivating you?
Yeah. Again, my older brother uh, was playing in bands. He played in this punk band called Durango 95, and they were just like, you want to talk about the cool kids on campus or whatever. He had like the Sid Vicious thing going on, and just like the epitome of like high school punk rock. Just like they were they were awesome. They were so cool, and everybody wanted to be at the shows, and it was definitely like inspiring. Where it's like, okay, I want to play the cool punk shows. I want to like make my own songs and record and play with the bigger punk bands and all of that. And because my brother was already like sort of connected in some kind of scene, it was pretty easy for us sort of after the fact, once we had started writing songs and sort of getting like our own set put together. I mean, I think one of our like first, like real shows was with his band. So in terms of like getting our foot in the door, that felt pretty easy. And at that point, there was already kind of like an established scene, or at least, a handful of us, 15, 16-year-old kids that were like friends going to punk shows, seeing each other. And so, of course, other kids are starting bands, and maybe it's the nostalgia thing that you were talking about, but at least for me, it felt like at the time growing up in Tacoma, there was like a lot of teenage kids starting punk bands and garage rock bands and that whole thing. The kind of like punk rock, like rock and roll thing was really big. New York Dolls meets Germs kind of thing. So,
is that what you were like listening to at the time? Like New York Dolls, like I don't know. When you're saying like garage rock / punk, I'm like I'm drawing to mind like bands like Gas Huffer or Rocket from the Crypt or Digits or something like that. Like this sort
right.
of in between kind of like not rockabilly, but like is that what was things were sounding like, or was more old school sounding than that?
There was a band, I don't know if you're familiar, called The Mummies.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, a lot of kids really liked The Mummies at the time. And they're just playing like, again, like punk rock versions of, like blues songs and R&B songs and everything. But
Were they from there? The Mummies, were they from Tacoma?
I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, okay.
They just did a reunion, I think, like last year actually, which is pretty crazy. But
there's one of the old live videos that goes around online when people find it every once in a while, and it goes around real hard for a few days, once people find it again, and like
yeah,
I know they were just bonkers live. So like
yeah,
it makes sense.
I think that kind of like musically in terms of like you had said like rockabilly, but that kind of garage rock sort of thing,
okay.
was pretty big. Which like my band at that point was maybe leaning a little bit more just like punk rock. I was listening to, I mean, again, as a teenager, I was listening to like Warped Tour bands and Anti-Flag, and I got really into Against Me, and I think even at that point, the other people that I was playing with, we all sort of had our own tastes. So no matter what sort of goes through the filter, it's like, even if I'm trying to write a song that sounds like whatever, the Casualties or something like that, at the end of the day, it ends up being something completely different. So
Yeah. See, this makes a lot of sense to me, like, your background, and then, like, when I'm listening to the new EP that you sent me, because, like, my biggest takeaway from that is that this is, like, melodic songwriting. And it's still undoubtedly, like, a screamo EP, like, but, like, this is like melodic songwriting, and there was a lot of I had a lot of thoughts about it, but like the it's I like it's going to sound disparaging when I say like this, but I want you to know that like I people say the same kinds of things about me, and I've seen this, and especially in in and around like 2012 to like 2015 or whatever, there was this huge like online, like there was this huge like there was just a groups of people that would just like basically shit talk like octave chords and bar chords and stuff. Just like
Hmm.
if you were doing stuff like that, you were just like a basic bitch, like to
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
use the anyway, like and like like you have plenty of texture in your guitar work and everything like that, but it's like I feel like you're just serving the song. There's a thing, and it's like I said, like I'm the same way. Like I don't feel like I need to. I don't like when I have the song, when I'm like happy with the song, I don't feel like I need to go back and be like, this doesn't sound whatever enough. Like I didn't do enough stuff that's going to make people think I'm good at guitar or what, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like you don't, it doesn't feel like you're trying to overplay. It feels like you started playing your guitar, it felt good, and you wrote the song. And there's almost like a sort of, and this might be, me reading too much into it, or you can tell me if I'm onto something. There's almost a sort of, you are you have the confidence in your band members that what you're laying down is going to give them the opportunity to also bring out their best. And like
Yeah.
there's a lot there's a lot of bands that where everybody is super talented and everybody is going the hell off, and that's fantastic, but like it's a it's a different thing. It's like it's almost like you're listening to this band as a musician, like to appreciate the music, as opposed to you can listen to your EP and appreciate the songs. I don't know if that
Hmm.
makes sense. Like there's just a different
Yeah.
thing.
I think you're totally onto something. I mean, initially, from song to song, the songwriting varies a little bit in terms of like how we wrote it or structured it or whatever. But there's definitely, a handful of songs that I'll bring to the table where, yeah, it's, bigger chords, or maybe just like busier in one way or the other. Um, and I think part of that comes from, when I'm sitting down on the couch writing something, of course, like playing some octave chords is like, oh, that's a great riff. That sounds awesome. Like,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I think I feel like I want to be like, uh, satiated from a riff that feels unique and interesting. And I think by the time I bring it to practice and we start kind of like structuring a song out of it, I think you're totally on it. Where if anything, I'm like, oh, for this part, I'm just going to play the octave of it here. Or, if anything, I start stripping it down once the rest of the band kind of like fills in everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Cause it doesn't feel like it needs to be there if, we've got four other things going on. So,
Yeah. There's also a thing where it's like, um, it feels like it gives each song like it lets each song have like its defining moment somewhere, as opposed to like, if you're listening to something like Fall of Troy or something, you're just like, what the fuck? You just like you're in wow mode the whole time or something. Does that make sense? Whereas like
right.
with y'all, it's like you have this melodic structure. It's not necessarily verse chorus, or whatever, but like there's more of that kind of structure. And then each song, you'll be like, oh, here, like this is the fucking thing right here that,
Hmm.
and it's just, I don't know, it's like it makes it more memorable for me, specifically, where I'm like, and I think that, it really harkens back to bands like Majority Rule or something, where like
Yeah.
it wasn't, it's not, I'm not saying that they weren't playing the shit out of their instruments, and I'm not saying that y'all aren't either, but there's a different approach, and
Hmm.
I don't know, it's really interesting. And like, to be clear, I think there's room for all of this stuff. There's room for stuff that sounds showboaty. There's room for something that's just, I mean, like, I'm amazed sometimes when people still like say that like our first 7 inch is some of their favorite songs or whatever. Cause I'm like, that is like so baby's first screamo. Like that is just like,
Yeah.
like I was just like, these are riffs that are fun to play. And then that's, like, but yeah, it's like, you know, I think there's room for all that. And, I just want to make that clear, but like it's it's different and it's refreshing, and it was awesome to like hear this EP and stuff. Um Now, when we first started, chatting, you were talking about the EP is coming at like possibly by the end of this month. I'm not sure like what all the details there are and stuff, but
Hmm.
there was y'all started in roughly 2021, and your demo came out in 2021. You had the Affirmations EP, which in 2023, 7 songs, and then you released um, Ripe with Disaster
Yep.
in July 2024. Is that the same recording from the new EP? Because that song is on the new EP. Is that the same recording, and you've just been working on
Right.
mixing and mastering? Like,
It is. It's all from a different session. So
oh,
yes, we
okay,
did re-record
okay,
right with Disaster. It kind of we were right with the initial recording of Ripe with Disaster was kind of a guinea pig project to work with this guy Joe Anderson. He does a lot of the um, kind of more like breakdown hardcore stuff in Portland, or just like this sort of Northwest scene. And he had reached out to us a few times wanting to work together. So that was kind of just like a guinea pig take, um, getting our feet wet, getting to know each other. And ultimately, we decided to go back to Joe. And so he was the one that did our upcoming EP. And we're all feeling like super excited about it. He did an awesome job recording us. It was a great time. Highly recommend Joe. And I think in terms of like the timeline, when we did that single, we were sort of hoping or wanting to record a lot sooner. We were about to do a tour, and our drummer Ian broke his hand. And so that kind of put the whole band on pause, ultimately for about a year.
mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, we were going to do our very first real tour. I think it was like maybe 7 days or something like that, or seven shows. And any songs that we were writing, it just kind of everything stopped. So the timeline of releasing the single, and now here we are, whatever, 3 years later. In terms of like the momentum, it just having Ian's hand break kind of skewed our trajectory, I guess.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, I wasn't trying to like this is not a call out post, like I wasn't
oh
like,
no
why
no no
why did it
yeah
take you 2 years? But that really sucks, obviously, about Ian's hand. And I'm glad that that Ian is well again, and can, y'all were able to get back to it. I was just curious, like, because I didn't get to listen to them side by side, like
Hmm.
one after the other to be like, oh, this is, to where I was able to be like, this is a totally different recording or whatever. But sometimes that stuff just happens. Like there's, you know, a million reasons why a band could have released a single in 2024 and it's just now coming out in 2026. Like, could have been
Right.
pressing plant things or label things or whatever, but so what is the name of the new EP?
It is called The Understory,
Okay. It,
and we are, yeah, super close. We are done with mastering. We are pretty much there for album art. So at this point, it's kind of just like tying up some loose ends. Obviously, the streaming platform sort of delay. A lot of times, you upload it and it takes X amount of time to sort of be verified and all of that. But we don't have a hard date set as of now. But yeah, hoping end of this month. So we'll at least be you know out for streaming. So
awesome. And it is it's 6 songs. And you were talking about like when Ian, like when all that happened with Ian, that the songs that you were writing, like everything sort of came to a halt. Um, were these 6 songs like, were you already in the middle of all of this at that point, or was it like when you when Ian's hand's better and you all get back to the band, it starting like, was it
right.
starting more or less over, or like what was you know how did that the EP come from where you were
Uh
and
huh.
to where when you're able to reconvene and start going again?
Right. I think we definitely had Ripe with Disaster already.
Right.
Um, and I want to say Doubt we were playing, maybe not live, but like playing together, pretty well at practice, which is on the EP as well. There was maybe 2 songs that we had that I think ultimately just never felt done.
Mm.
And I think coming back after all of that, I think it gave just like some time, at least for me, to kind of calibrate and sort of like try to envision what this next batch of songs is going to be. Um, I mean, I think already having, say, 2 of the 6 songs in whatever capacity, more or less finished, started to like build a framework. And then it's like, however many songs go on to our next recording, what else does the batch of songs need? Like, do we need a big heavy one? Do we need, a hit? Do we need the patient one with the big breakdown? Like, whatever. I guess I was just like trying to fill in the gaps, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't like necessarily an end goal, but I think having some time to sort of think about what at least I wanted out of this next batch of songs, and sort of like how to serve the EP and like whatever it needs. So
That's that's such a, like, when you're saying like, it just, I am the total opposite. I can't have all this time because I get like decision paralysis. Like,
mm,
if I have too many options, like I'll want to explore them all and I won't get anything done. I got to be like our last 2 records, like I'm literally just like, well, I'm that's not even true. It's like like most of our records. And if I said the one that wasn't like that, people would probably be like, well, that's why that one's the best. But like, but like, also, some people will not say that one's the best. So
uh,
like our first album, like I mean, I wrote it pretty much all in one sitting. Our second album, not really. Our third album, wrote it pretty much all in one sitting. Fourth
Mm-hmm.
album, same. Fifth album, same. Like sixth album, we wrote it like sixth album. We did that one different. We wrote like we threw ideas out and we recorded drums for these ideas, and then and then I just put the guitars on later, just like out of nowhere. And then our seventh album is the one that's like these were songs that I had for a long time, and
Mm-hmm.
I agonized over them, and I agonized over them for another year. Like I recorded vocals and I hated them all, and I recorded new vocals, and I don't even know how many times I did that. And it's like, and then our eighth album, like I wrote it all in one sitting, and I recorded it all like, we recorded it like all of us recorded it separately within like a month.
Mm-hmm.
And like
Yeah.
it's just like our ninth album, we like I wrote a few songs that showed people like these are some demos. Then we showed up, we wrote three more songs, we wrote and recorded it all inside a month. And it's like, if I've had this other album, like we've recorded a lot of it like 3 years ago. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like that I don't know. It's awesome that you are like, you're able to take a look at what you think you need and what you think is missing, what isn't working. Is that how you usually like? Is that Do you do that before you bring stuff to the band usually, or does it happen sort of 50-50? Like sometimes you're playing stuff with the band, and then you realize, or you all realize, or whatever, that this isn't working. Let's go back to this, do something else. Or and then
Mm-hmm.
like, how is there ever any like, well, we already came this far, like let's just, like, how's this process work?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would say it's like 50-50. I mean, sometimes I'll come to practice with an idea of a song, or at least, here's like three riffs. I know I want this to go into this, and we'll just kind of flesh it out that way. I think by the time I'm bringing something to practice, it's already on like maybe iteration 5. My songwriting process is absolutely crazy. I just I like take videos of myself, and so then when I like go to sit down a week later, it's like, what was that I was playing? I'll just like refer back to it. And so I just have like hundreds of videos of me just like sitting on the couch, and like I'm going through it, and it's like, oh, that's right. That's what I was playing.
Yeah.
So I'll like come up with a riff or something, and then yeah, a lot of times it'll take some tweaking and tweaking and tweaking, and then I'll bring it to practice, and it kind of goes through the filter. And then there's other times where like I have one part, and then we start like just jamming on something, and I have an idea of how it's, quote, supposed to go. And then Ian will start playing something and I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. That's not what I had in my head, but that's way cooler. Don't change anything. Just that's awesome.
Let
You're
me,
great. Like you
yeah,
should keep doing that,
yeah. Let me go
And
off
honestly,
of
I mean,
that.
some of my, yeah, like some of my favorite parts on the record are stuff that like, I didn't like write necessarily. It was just like an idea that sort of sparked from all of us playing together,
Mm-hmm.
because it's things that I don't hear while I'm sitting down on the couch. I don't hear this bass line or something. So um, yeah, I think the process is pretty loose in terms of like sort of how we go about songwriting, and I think it's ultimately about like serving the song and giving space and just kind of like leaning on each other to do what we're doing, like I
Mm-hmm.
think everybody is like has like their time to shine in terms of like each song or the EP itself. And yeah, just kind of like to rely on the band because that's why we're all here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that's one thing that I hark on a lot when I'm talking about like I mean I said like I like a lot of times we start putting something together, and this can be like you're doing something like more solo, or whatever, recording like you're doing like an EP yourself, or you're like you're in that place that you're talking about where you're at home and you're trying to put something together. And one thing that I hark on a lot is like whatever the process is, like you have to learn to trust it, because like you were saying, you don't know what's going to happen when you show this to the bass player, or you show this to Ian, or like you don't know
Mm-hmm.
what's going to happen. So like you're just hearing this guitar part and you might be like, is this enough to like, is this enough in whatever way to like bring it to somebody and say let's go from here, or is it not? And like that's, I mean, when I'm doing a record and it's drums and it's just like one guitar part, like I can get really in my head. Like I hear this part back like however many times when I'm recording it, and I'm just like, is this really like that? Like, is this, should I keep going with this? Because like, does this just suck? Like, and
Yeah.
yeah, you don't know. Like, you have to, even if it's just you, like, just go ahead and put the other guitar down and put the bass down and like start messing around with some vocals. Cause like, chances are, like, you know, it's fine. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and especially if you have other people that you're collaborating with, like you are collaborating with and working with those people because you respect their talents and stuff, so like, yeah. um I you said that you recorded the single with Joe as a sort of experiment, and I'm guessing like, just to feel like, is this a good fit, are we gonna get like the experience and like the results, that we expect,
Mm-hmm.
like, kind of thing. um and then you did end up going back and like, yeah, I think that the EP sounds like fantastic and everything. um were there like were there things that you all did in the studio that like that Joe did differently than you were used to, that you were like, whoa, that's like, you know that's awesome, that was a great idea? Like, were there any things that stuck out?
Yeah, I think it was probably like my personally like my favorite experience, or like my favorite outcome working with Joe is that especially for sort of the auxiliary guitar, um, he had a lot of input. I had a couple ideas of different guitar layering, but ultimately I still, we're a one guitar band. I wanted it to read as, close to a one guitar band as possible. So that, when we're playing live, it's like, that sounds awesome, but what about that lead that doesn't exist when you guys play live? Yeah, no, I think he had some like really valuable input in terms of like engineering of like, what this is missing is just, what if you try it this way? Or what if we need to add a little bit of different guitar texture here, and we're gonna like reamp it this way. I think in song 1, right at the end, there's kind of a breakdown, and I was trying to do this and trying to do that, and like nothing really seemed to stick or feel the right way. And Joe was like, what if you just kind of do eighth notes that whole time, and like don't move it, don't, you don't have to do anything crazy. And I mean, on the recording it's pretty subtle, but I think listening back to the recording, I'm like so glad that it exists just as this super stripped down, simplified version, even if it's just for a couple of bars. I think, again, like it kind of makes, for me, it kind of makes the the big ending feel right. And so it's like, even when we're playing it at practice and stuff, I am like, oh man, I just want that little eighth note thing in the back. But
yeah, you got to get a looper now.
Yeah, right.
I recommend not doing that, just because from personal experience, it can be hard to actually pull off. Some people are very good at it though. But I wanted to ask about something specific in Untouched. Is there an acoustic track like buried in the mix there somewhere, or was there?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Okay. Because I was like, there's either an acoustic track in here like that's sort of buried, or there's like there's a couple times on like our newest album where like I was obviously playing the guitar way closer to the microphone than I was at other times, and you can hear like my pick like on the strings, which I noticed when like after I did it, but I was like, I don't know, I kind of fuck with that, so I left it. So I was like, they either did that intentionally or there's an acoustic track. So there was an acoustic track. And was that like something you already had planned to do, or was that another like sort of like Joe's like, hey, what if we try this?
Right. I think for that song specifically, I had kind of wanted that, kind of like percussive element to it. There's some acoustic track buried kind of throughout the EP, but I think that song specifically, having sort of that like timbre and percussive element to it, not only like makes it a little bit more interesting to listen to, but I think just kind of adds that I don't know, attack to it, or just like another layer to play with, I guess. But,
Sure. Yeah. I have to go through and try and see if I can find where the acoustic is in the other tracks. Nothing jumped out at me except for, when and I'm not sure if it was because that was the last one or if it was because it was meant to be noticed more. But
right.
I was like, oh yeah, I see what's going on there. Well, yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, I'm excited for people to hear this. So it's like more or less like once you got these kind of couple of loose ends, then it's gonna go live from there.
Yep.
And are you planning on like making tapes or CDs or anything at that point as well, or?
Yeah, we'd like to definitely do some tapes. I honestly, the CD thing to me feels crazy to do, but like have been asked if we have CDs, and I see it like popping up at merch tables and stuff more and more, which I think is interesting. Yeah, definitely want to do. We're kind of doing this like whole rebranding and a new run of merch and shirts and all of that too. So definitely some physical stuff on the way. I'm like a big tape collector, so definitely want to do tapes. And I guess we'll just kind of see what comes of it from there.
Yeah. Do you have do you have some shows or anything coming up that you can tell people about? Like,
Not currently. I mean, we've got like a local show in the works in September. I'm talking to a friend Mikey about a release show. And from there, it's all pretty loose. I mean, obviously, we're like in some conversations and stuff, but nothing that's really like formed, or there's no grandiose plan currently. Definitely in the fall, we're wanting to do some Northwest shows and stuff like that. We got to do a redemption show in Seattle, so.
Redemption, like you had to cancel one or something?
Yeah, we did a little weekender this past fall, I guess, with our pals in Foxglove. If you're not familiar, definitely recommend checking out Foxglove.
Mm-hmm.
And we ended up playing Seattle, sort of. I think it counts as like Tukwila, maybe, but the show was actually really, really fun. But they want us to play Seattle proper.
Oh, okay.
We want them to play Eugene proper.
Okay. So people were like, "How dare you?" And you're like, "We promise we'll come back."
Yeah, and of course, like that canceled tour from however many years ago at this point. I think we still want to be able to get out and stuff. With the work schedules right now, it's a little harder. So I think it's going to be doing more weekenders as opposed to taking 2 weeks kind of thing. But yeah, definitely down the pipeline for sure.
That's the kind of pushback that we always get when we play Toronto, and people are like, "How dare you not play Montreal?" And we're like, "It's not close." Like, yeah. And Toronto is also not close to my house. Like, it's like 8 hours away. We can't just keep going further. But yeah, that's awesome. Well, like I said, the new EP is great. I hope people, check that out when it drops. It's been a pleasure chatting with you. I do try to keep these around an hour. Is there anything else that we should chat about that we didn't get a chance to chat about before we take off?
I don't think so. I appreciate you taking the time and having a nice conversation about it. Thanks for everything that you do. And I don't know. I hope everybody takes the time and listens to a song or two.
And that was my conversation with Austin Carter. Thank you so much, Austin, for taking the time to chat with me. Thanks to all of y'all for listening wherever you are as well. I hope you're having a great day. Until next time, take care and do good things.